Hi everyone, welcome to Neuma Church. My name is Moses and I'm the lead pastor, and I could not be more excited to continue to share our Neuma story with all of you in the following weeks. We have an amazing team and they're going to share powerful testimonies and a verse that has had a real transformative impact on their lives. So we pray that the power of God's work in their lives will be really catalytic in God working in your heart and life as well. If you did not get a chance, check out our Neuma story video produced by Mizia Media. It tells the God story of how our church began. We really want to acknowledge that River City Church in Lewiston, Idaho is our sending church, and we want to really honor them. Kevin Beeson, the lead pastor, and their leadership, and the whole church that sent us. We just really have felt so encouraged and supported as we tell our story. It's really an extension of theirs as well. We love our RCC family. And one way to introduce them to you is to invite their worship team to be our guests. And so some weeks you will see them leading our worship. Our service will be about 30 minutes long, and we have provided some great questions at the end for you to discuss in order to better apply God's truth and grow in your faith as well.
Was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness to your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness to your glorious day. All that I know. The old name knew Jesus when I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness to your glorious day. Call my name, I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness to your glorious day. I need a rescue, my sin was heavy. The chains break at the weight of your glory. I need a shelter, I was an orphan. Now you call me a citizen. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open. 'Cause when you called my name, I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness to your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness to your glorious day. Father of kindness, you have poured out grace. You brought me out of darkness, you have filled me with peace. The giver of mercy, you're my help in time of need. Lord, I can't help but sing. Faithfulness, and I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness, and I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness, and I will.
This week we have Josiah Brunn sharing his story and verse. I have known Josiah his whole life and loved Josiah, his parents, and his whole family. They're all very dear to me. Josiah has been taking incredible strides in his spiritual growth over the last year, and he is currently attending our ministry training school and serving as an intern at Neuma Church, and we just so appreciate all of his hard work. Josiah has a real leadership calling upon his life and is honestly one of the most relationally intuitive people I have ever been around. He excels at seeing the needs of others, speaking honestly, and loving Jesus and others just really incredibly well. He emulates something we really value at Neuma Church, and that's authenticity in our faith community and in our relationships. I believe his words will have incredible impact on your life today.
Hey everyone, my name's Josiah, and today I'm going to be sharing my life verse. Here it is. This is Jesus talking to his disciples. It's Luke 9:23-24. Then he said to them all, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will save it." I've been resonating a lot with this verse lately and seeing how crucial it is to understanding the way that God works in my life. Since moving to a new city, getting a new job, and nearly every aspect of my life changing, it's been easy for me to focus on myself and my family, especially when it comes to my finances. I'm constantly thinking of ways to improve my life for worldly gain, and God ends up taking a back seat. I'll be thinking of ways to improve my day-to-day, like maybe I need to get on a better sleep schedule, maybe I should drink tea instead of coffee, maybe if I go on a walk every day, I'll feel better, maybe if I spend less of my time in front of the screens, yada yada, the list goes on. And it'll probably never end unless I let go of myself. The verse says, whoever wants to save their life will lose it. That part of the verse has been hitting really hard in these moments. Of course, my numerous self-help type plans aren't working. I've been living for myself instead of God. Before my wife Megan and I moved up to Spokane, we were really comfortable. But not a good kind of comfortable, the kind of comfortable you feel when you've been sleeping in for really too long. And it's like really comfy and nice and warm, but you have that aching feeling in the back of your head telling you that you need to get up and do something. At the time, I had a really bright future in my job, our finances were super steady, and we knew pretty much everyone around us. We had a great church family. We had lots of friends that we had known growing up and through high school that we were super close with, but something didn't feel right. So we realized that we were feeling really stagnant in our lives. It was difficult for us to figure out why we felt that way, and for all intents and purposes, our life was as good as it could get, so why in the world would we want to change something? We soon realized that where we were at was no longer where God wanted us, so he started changing our hearts. Now, at this time, nothing bad happened, but we felt ourselves getting moved out of our love for our jobs. We started to feel less connected with our relationships and our friends and our church, and just that feeling like we needed something new started coming into our lives. Living for ourselves wasn't working anymore, and we realized it was because we weren't living for God. It took a lot of time and a few miraculous events, but we finally found ourselves coming up to Spokane. Once we were up here, we knew it was where God wanted us. We were trying to perfect our lives, but we lost them. But when we finally started living our lives for Christ, he blessed them. As much as I'd like to say that since we've come up to Spokane, it's all been sunshine and daisies, I really can't. I'd be totally lying. Life has had just as many ups and downs as it did before. And we started to realize that just because you follow God and do what he tells you to do, it doesn't mean he's going to make your life perfect. Our definition of a perfect life typically doesn't line up with God's definition of a perfect life. But God gave us something we didn't expect or even know that we needed. Through these times, he's given us a deep sense of peace and a deep sense of purpose. When we face trials, it's still just as hard, but we do not have any doubt that the underlying purpose of our life is stable in God. We know that God put us here and he has plans for us. The feeling in that stability is one of the most amazing things I've ever had in my entire life. God has really blessed us in only ways that he can. And it's not what we thought we wanted and definitely not what we expected, but it's exactly what we needed. Especially in this last month, the first part of this verse has been on my mind. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. I've really been trying to figure out what denying myself means, or I guess a better way to phrase it would be figuring out how to live my life for God and deny myself. It's definitely easy to theorize about. Like I could say, oh, well, I just need to spend less time relaxing and more time reading my Bible and more time praying. That's all easy to say, but then truly letting go of yourself is an incredibly difficult challenge. Especially I've noticed as an American, I've been taught my whole life to be self-sufficient, to be a man, to take life by the horns, and so on, and all those different metaphors. But God calls me to be reliant, be his child, and then let go of the horns because I'm not strong enough. So needless to say, it's been really difficult for me to wrap my head around that. What I have been working on lately is not blaming my circumstances for the difficulties in them, but rather acknowledging that I could be the cause of them and giving it to God. A good example would be the fact that I like to control things in my life. Typically simple things like a good sleep schedule, being diligent and focused when I work, and spending consistent quality time with my wife. I could blame my circumstances saying, well, my room is too cold to sleep, or my workplace is too distracting, or my schedule is too busy to spend good time with my wife. Or I could listen to what God is calling me to do. Rest my mind before I try to sleep instead of filling it with distractions and focus on Him. Pray before I work and understand that I can't always control my environment, but that God can keep me focused. And then I can prioritize my wife and understand that God put us in unity for His glory and not for our own. All these things are super hard because they fly directly in the face of what our society tells us to do and normally what we feel like we want. I know that only God can help me with these struggles. I understand that this is something I'll struggle with my whole life, surrendering my control to God. But time and time again, I've seen that when I do, He blesses me for it. And like I said before, even though the result is not normally what I thought I wanted, it's always what I end up needing. He knows what's best for me better than I ever will. So I would encourage anyone listening, start to learn about what it would mean for you to let go of your life. So I could say, hey, anyone listening, let go of your life. And you could all be like, yeah, right on, that sounds cool, I'll do that. But for it to work, it's crucial to understand what God is desiring for your life. And then submitting to His love and knowledge and following Him instead of relying on what you think is right. Sometimes we can still try to control letting go. It's a really weird concept, but somehow I still find myself trying to do it all the time. Remember that God's word is truth, and He always has the best plan for you, even when it's outside of your understanding. Listen to this verse one last time, and I really encourage you all to try to implement it in His teachings. Then He said to them all, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will save it."